this self-mythologizing of us in our era, present in our era, that seems abnormal to me.
The Apollo computer had just 64 kilobytes of memory. Your phone? It has gigabytes. So next time you're scrolling through TikTok, remember, you're holding a piece of technology that could have powered a space mission.
I belong to the blank generation, and I can take it or leave it each time. Well, I belong to the generation, but I can take it or leave it each time.
When people say it, they're using that as a shorthand to describe whatever it actually means. But the question is, do the people who reference that, who are making some point around it, actually know what they're saying or not saying? Because what we don't mean is that had they been in possession of an iPhone or an Android or something in July of 1969, that we could have sent the Apollo mission to the moon just by scrolling and, on the Gorilla Glass and having the right app for it. Oh, Apollo app. Log in. Oh, forgot my password. Shit. All right, cool. Neil, what's your password? Awesome. Good. We're there. That's not really what we mean. If we combine all of the computers, the computing capability at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and then in Houston, not sure, or just NASA, right? Obviously, even in 1969, what they had would still be gargantuan compared to what this iPhone in front of me is doing. Now, improvements in interface and resolution, and obviously the internet, right? Well, Wi-Fi came later, but just connectivity, online capability worldwide. Okay. Was it DARPA, the U.S. government, that actually got that going on? With all due respect to Al Gore. A company my dad used to work for in the 80s called Sperry was founded in, I want to say, the latter World War II or post-World War II era by this rogue or exile general. It was this UNIVAC system that I'm afraid I have no idea what purpose it served. But either became Sperry. Yeah, let me look this up real quick. This is actually kind of interesting.
General Groves needs to have money because, he's a military guy. He doesn't have any cash. He goes out and becomes CEO of Remington Rand. Remington Rand is the #1 weapons supplier of the U.S. military. General Groves is in a position to know that because he had the highest security clearance. He becomes a messenger, and then he finds another company, very crazily, called Burroughs. Burroughs sells calculators, mini computers, flashlights, but they're big electronics. He merges the two together. You know what those two companies become? Sperry. What does Sperry get renamed? Gets renamed Unisys. What does Sperry do in this whole time outside the military? They make UNIVAC computers. UNIVAC computers that they wind up selling back to the U.S. military. Do you know why? Because in 1957, the Russians put Sputnik up in space. And this caught Nixon and Eisenhower completely by surprise. But guess who didn't catch by surprise? Groves, because Groves knew what was going on because of his time in the Manhattan Project. That's when Eisenhower has to bring Groves and his industrial military complex back into the federal government. What was that called in 1958, Robert? DARPA. First name was ARPA. What was the first project that ARPA did? First thing Groves did, he linked Stanford, Johns Hopkins, all the little colleges that you learned about in COVID together with a computer network.
Yeah.
Got it?
We've made all these improvements in technology, but I guess the question is, let's say they had iPhone technology. I wonder what that would have improved about the workflow of any mission over the last 50 years, not just that one. But it still stands that whatever was accomplished. And really, with the exception of, say, the Challenger and Columbia, right, the two shuttle disasters we had, it was, on the Challenger, I believe it was a problem with these things called O-rings. I don't even know what their function was. But I guess they had all this cold, I mean, it was in the middle of January, but they had all this cold weather, which had delayed and delayed and delayed that launch. And these O-rings, I guess, were too cold. They were like either frozen or just colder than they should be. And they take off and something happens where they're not performing their function and kaboom. The O-rings thing was, I think, an oversight issue, not a technology failure. I mean, they were sufficient to do the job that they were supposed to do. And Columbia actually broke up on reentry. There was some overheating issue, either somewhere in the ship, maybe one of the wings, and then it spread. Would advanced technology from either of these eras have avoided the problems that they did have? Because if not, then we can safely say, I think, that the technology we had wasn't just sufficient to kind of eke our way there. It was precisely what we needed to get this stuff done. And the fact that we only had two, what you would call disasters that had nothing to do with technology, makes me wonder, writ large, what is the real difference in technology that we have today? I mean, I'm looking at this computer screen. Obviously, connectivity is a big deal for us. I mean, I'm not, this isn't mission control for a for a shuttle launch here. This is my studio apartment. So accessibility, I guess, it's not like we have the holodeck yet, like they have on Star Trek, or, where you walk into a room and you can simulate basically any environment from anywhere you want and like be in it, either for recreation or for whatever purpose.
Like I said, Commander, Barclay's been running some unusual programs.
This is a violation of protocol. Crew members should not be simulated in the holodeck.
Commander, I don't think there's any regulation against...
Well, there ought to be.
Yeah, if I had a computer, one of those computer screens, like a VGA sitting right in front of me, it would look different, but it wouldn't look that different. I mean, were they IMAX? Yeah, those IMAX. Remember those thick bubbles with you could get a different color on the back? Blue, purple, red, or whatever. Pink, maybe. That was 99, 2000, right around there. And yeah, you could start, Dell would get your flat screen. But even then, you have your flat screen, you have your tower. You can still get a tower if you want. I mean, it looks maybe a little bit different, but it's the same idea. The innards of it are in the screen. Okay, so we took the guts of the thing, compressed them, flattened them a little bit, and stuck them in the back of the thing. Whoopee. I mean, cool. It's less for me to haul around, but the experience, I mean, look, I still got a keyboard and a mouse. I've got this mixer here. I can hook that in USB. I mean, there's these little incremental improvements. It's changed our world dramatically. Maybe you could say the experience itself has gone from this closed circuit where you just turn the thing on and whatever you're doing on that computer, and it's computing what it's computing, to technology that's sitting in front of you is more of a terminal into the world. Yeah, the world outside these walls. I mean, that's not insignificant, but in terms of what we can actually achieve with it, make money, come up with some creative idea. I can record music, we can make videos. The digital multi-tracker, be it for video or audio. I mean, that's a massive, massive, I mean, YouTube itself, think about that. I mean, it's more like a library. And a library is something that is already familiar to us, right? It's an archive, essentially. Even that concept isn't totally foreign. I'm trying to figure out what in the human experience is actually new. And what would be the difference between something we would define as new and something we would just define as modified or altered or upscaled somehow? Pre-industrial revolution. Everybody's either working out in the field, or they're a banker or a surveyor or something, right? Working on the railroads, maybe. Rancher. But it's something with your hands, or it's something probably managing money of some kind, or your nobility. I mean, if we're going, I'm thinking of America, but if we go worldwide, yeah, your nobility, you're just kind of hanging out. You don't have to do anything. Or military, right? That would be another big thing, obviously, killing people. And so, but I mean, we still have that. We have all of those things. They probably haven't changed that much. Yeah, the behavior in there changes. Is the experience of some rich kid who's born into, unimaginable wealth different from somebody who was born into, the inheritance of the French barons of the 12th century? Yeah, it's different. The rituals are different. The clothing is different. The social decorum is different, but the idea is the same. When I just brought up the holodeck before on the Enterprise Star Trek thing, that's a leap into, like, literally a leap into something else that we don't have. Yes, it's true that computing here would appear like magic to somebody in the 19th century. And I suppose electricity would be a big one. That would be a big. You got castles, you got your lords, you got your serfs out there, digging them out. The self-mythologizing of our time, when you'll hear people say, "Hey, man, yeah, right now is the best time to be alive." I mean, they'll hold up their phone like, "Think about what you could do with this, man. It's unbelievable. Like, would you rather live now or in 1971?" It's like, really?
We live in the most interesting of times. Sometimes it's like easy to sort of like, I don't know, get down about like some day-to-day event or political stuff or whatever. But in the grand scheme of things, we are living in the most interesting time.
Across all metrics of human thriving, we are in the best time in history, but we can make it better.
We're living at the very best time in all of human history. More people are going to make more money in the next few years than have ever been made in all of human history.
Everything comes down to that. That supersedes everything as carrying the day for what's quote unquote better or more ideal. I just heard somebody say the other day, "Yeah, be glad you're alive now." Why? Why would one person assume across the board that all humans right now, all 8 billion of us, are as, let's say, well-suited temperament-wise or to the demands of life, the demands and the spoils, the rewards of life right now in 2026, as opposed to any other year in history? Really? Like, have you just not thought about it? And you've heard other people say it, so you're saying it, like, kind of, it's just ingrained. Maybe that's what I'm kind of getting at. This self-mythologizing of us in our era, present in our era. That seems abnormal to me. In some idiot who hasn't thought about this at all, who's given it zero thought, is going to come in and say, "Oh, well, people in every era think that." It's like, no, they don't. Or no, they didn't, I'll say. A, we had more reverence for history collectively. The further you go into the past. B, I can actually remember some shit. Okay, why? Because remembering, even more than history itself, the act of remembering and preserving is just as important to me. I can't remember once, maybe prior to the internet age, remembering any kind of this sort of, "Oh my God, we are the chosen people, that we are the people of now."
I'm actually a proud millennial. You might even go so far as to call me a millennial advocate. That's how passionate I am.
You see adult people, right? Grown people. It's one thing to cling to youth in the sense, yeah, you want to look good, you want to stay healthy, that kind of thing. But when I see like adult women acting like teenage girls,
two like teenage looking kids came up to me, was like, "We just voted for you." And I was like, "How old are you?" And they're like, 19. And I was like, "Oh, 19 years old, voting in an off-year midterm primary election?"
What is going through this? What is going through your head? Let's show you this clip right here. We've got a clip of the moment you found out you won. We don't have the sound on this, but just there you are.
Yeah.
What's happening?
whatever their idea of it is, as opposed, I'm like, like my mother's generation, she was born 1950. They're boomers, essentially, my parents. They weren't exactly, Mon Pa Kettle, all right? These were, hippies. They were at Woodstock and then the discos 10 years after that, okay? They were doing their thing, okay? Probably, maybe not more recklessly than us because we're idiots, but, like, they were getting out there, all right, in ways that the youth of today, they'd be terrified to even, like, go anywhere near, like, your average kid. And so but they still acted like adults, and not just to me as a kid, just remembering who they were. Even again, just recorded history, you can see in the behavior if you what a movie, a TV show, a soap opera from that era, and you can there's a refinement in adult behavior from then to now. I said women before, I mean, even the men. I mean, some of my buddies that are that are fathers, I wonder, like, do their kids know that their dads are just kind of acting like big kids? I mean, they seem like perfectly acceptable fathers, but I mean, I'm on the tail end of Gen X, or what you might if you're born between 77 and 85, there's this like subcategory. It's called like Xennials or Malexials or something. It's kind of like this lost hybrid between Gen X and Y, but it's like the latter half of X forward, which it would include me. It feels stunted somehow. I think incapable of advancing. And by the way, the thing about the self-obsession or the self-mythologizing, when I said before that I never saw this sort of self-reflexive, let's hand out awards to one another for how great. I mean, social media would have something to do with this.
Many people seeing us as entitled is also just a natural expectation for success. The natural expectation that we don't have to work in an office 9 to 5 in order to make a living. And if we do, then we expect that office has 3 different lunch menus, video game break rooms, and nap pods for when we need to take a nap. I mean, I've been to Google, I've been to YouTube headquarters, I've seen these things, and they exist because millennials exist.
This notion of like the adult world, whoever is running the show, so to speak. If you're a corporation, for example, oh yeah, we need to prepare. We need to get those, the young clientele. We need to appeal to young people. What can the NFL, what can Major League Baseball do to appeal to young people? It's like, or companies like, we want that young dollar. Why? What company? What is it? The Minnesota Vikings. I should look this story up. There was something I remember covering in about maybe 2017 or 18 where they actually hired an 18-year-old as a consultant in order to advise them on how to appeal to other 18. Why? It's the young person who's about to enter the workforce. It's their job to acclimate to what's established. And then once they're in it, yes, their generation will make of it what they will. Fine. But not to be catered to. They don't know any fucking thing yet. And so that this sort of, whatever we are now is the greatest thing ever. And the time in which it exists is the greatest thing ever. And all movies and music and other sports, all nodes of culture right now are better than they've ever have been. And anybody who would have a preference or some sort of inclination towards anything other than right now is just an out-of-step moron who's not to be trusted. Could you get any more unserious than that and yet maintain the facade of seriousness? That's such bullshit. And I'm asking this question about improvements. Like, look how far we've come. Let me just give you one example, because I think this tracks not only through time but across it. I think it's going to hold. If we're asking the question, have we stagnated? And it's not an accusation like, oh, we should have invented something else by now. Like, I have this sort of loose hypothesis that the reason why there's basically no cohesive music scene, shared cultural music anymore is because everything that's been done to this point with the 12 tones or pitches of Western music in a easily consumable way, a certain tempo, certain sort of symmetry to it, right, has been done. We've done the electronic thing, we've done the singer thing, we've done the competition thing, we've done the massive scale touring thing, we've done the studio thing. And in terms of just song, you can either consume something that's short or long. We've done both. We've done long symphonies, we've done prog rock, we've done the short thing, we got Michael Jackson, we got Elvis, Madonna, we've really covered it all. And now, can people still write great songs and perform them and be great at their instruments or not or whatever? Yeah, we can keep on doing that. And look, there's always room for another great song. Great. But the thing is, pop music or music in the 50s, let's say, in any form, jazz, country, pop, or what was the nascent rock and roll, R&B, then rock and roll thing, it collided with technology, studio technology. They could use the studio essentially as an instrument to record and then mass produce and distribute this thing, music, right? And so that's what made the whole thing explode. But as far as the art form itself, or the sound of it, I mean, first you would go from recording just acoustic instruments or voice, right? Something into recording something in the air, vibrations in the air, drums, obviously, to sort of merging that, say the electric guitar. You don't need to put a microphone up to it as you would an acoustic guitar or vocal. You're taking those vibrations of the strings, you're picking them up on what is called a pickup, right? And you're plugging it in, you're sending it directly into something, either an amp, which you can go directly into your recording unit, your mixer, or you can just go into the mixer. You can do however you want. So there's the acoustic in the air element, even though there is a vibration taking place there, you're more or less, you're minimizing that. Right. So what happens? Well, the sound changes. The way a group is comprised changes. You don't need a whole orchestra or a whole big band, right? You can get 4 guys or gals or whatever to do the job of composing, recording, playing, and singing. You can get like 4 or 5 people in a room to really cover all that. Hence the Beatles, right? That kind of thing. The self-contained pop group. Or Pink Floyd, these concept rock opera type, or the Who, rock opera type thing, the bigness of that, these larger scale works, right? Rather than just this something that is deeply meaningful. Concurrent with that, we have some, like even just the synthesizer itself. You can, one push of a key, which looks basically like a piano, except it's not. It's a keyboard instrument that synthesizes an entire, either an orchestra or it's just a new sound altogether. The square wave synthesizer, or the Moog, I think it's pronounced, synthesizer. You got Keith Emerson plugging in all the things as he's playing. It's nuts. Think about it. The technology of the last 20 years, even just if we take the synthesizer, because I've always considered synthesizers and sequencers to, at least in the musical context, to be more like, or at one time they were at the cutting edge of whatever was going on. It's like, hey, we got this new little device now, this little gadget here. The guitar is the guitar, the bass is the bass, the drums are the drums, the vocals are the vocals, right? Now we got this little beatbox, we got this thing. But they're all, I mean, think about it, the word synthesizer. When I said it's synthesizing like an orchestra, it's really, I mean, you can do that. There are certain settings for that. That's really not what it's used for, though. Whatever sounds it's emitting, whatever crazy shit it's got to offer, that becomes its own sound. It's not really synthesizing. I mean, it's not manipulating air molecules to produce sound. I mean, it ends up putting sound out there. I mean, think about it this way. There's these software, these synthesizer programs you can use. Even the multi-trackers have them all built in now. But what are they? I mean, you could say, oh, yeah, look how far we've come since, 1981. Well, all the shit that we're writing software for, is attempting to synthesize or emulate synthesizers from years ago. There's no new sounds, really. I was 21 in 2000. I feel like as I entered what would be the workforce, the art, or as an artist through my 20s, my 30s. I'm doing more now artistically than I did in my. I feel like that my 20s and 30s were kind of like this black hole because that was the first time we kind of realized, yeah, this has all been done before. Like, what do we do now? And we've got this file sharing Napster thing. Okay, nobody's going to a fucking CD store to buy product anymore. So you just got to give it away. So nobody can make any money, and we've been there, done that. So what the hell is the value of this thing of anything new, really? Like, nobody gives a shit about it. Is that because we haven't advanced it? I mean, it's strange because there's this thing about what's familiar and what's pre-branded that everybody now seems to hide in the safety of, if people can't say what your brand is in 5 words or less, you're too much. Like, everything needs to be pre-packaged, have your food pre-chewed for you.
And if your podcast can't be described quickly, I'm talking about 5 words, it can't be shared easily. And if it can't be shared easily, it doesn't spread. Here's the hard truth. If people don't understand your show right away, this is the age we're in, they're not going to try to figure it out. They're not going to ask questions. They just scroll right.
Everything needs to be familiar. Nobody is allowed to break out unless you're a pre-approved branded person that's allowed to break out and break new ground. But that doesn't even really count. But then again, the same people who need everything familiar and pre-sorted and all this into something that they can immediately just identify in a sensory sense, in a sensory way, something that's identifiable immediately to the senses. These are the people who are most likely to brag about how great it is to live in now and not then. Well, everything you like is basically just it's not even an updated version of then. It's a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy of then.
Even a real human being's voice. And it's fucking good, dude. It's good where you're like, whoa! Listen to this.
Yeah.
It seems weird hearing these lyrics with this kind of singing, because it's like hardcore gangsta rap music, but with, listen to this though. It's kind of crazy that they're doing.
Many men wish death upon me. Blood in my eye, dog, and I can't see. I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be.
Woo! Isn't that great?
It gets better.
What is the now exactly? There's a lot of yelling at one another. There's a lot of talking past one another. There's a lot of posturing. Oh, but there's always been all that. Yeah, there has been. But I don't know that we've ever lived in an era where that's the where that's the only thing or the main thing. And as I said, copies of copies of copies, and lack of maturity, or refinement might be the better word that I used before. I don't know where the adults are. I don't even know if I'm one. I mean, I'm 46. I feel like I'm eternally 23 or something. And I don't love that idea. I mean, I guess I'd rather that than actually to appear as closer to 53 or 63, which I am. But at the same time, the adult world that I was, I guess, expecting to inherit is actually still being run not by the like half generation, the early Gen X and generation front. It's still being run by the fucking boomers, my parents. And people are living longer. Yeah, I know that. But I mean, the silent generation, Joe Biden just got out of office. The silent generation, they were born before the fucking World War II. Pelosi. I mean, at some point in the not so distant past, people knew when they were kids. They knew when they were adolescents, and they knew when they were adults, and when they knew when they were seniors, let's say, retirees. I don't know where I am. I don't know. Is a 30-year-old a kid? I feel like they are. I had two well, one was 29, one was 30-year-old co-hosts with me when I was hosting radio in 2019 and 20. In 2020, I was 41. I think they were 29 and 30. They felt like kids to me. In fact, they acted like kids. And there was always this like running. It was playful. But there was always this thing about like, oh yeah, what the kids are into, but they representing that, but kind of like aspiring not downward but backwards, trying to like appear as something. Whereas now I played off of that as somebody who didn't care, but my not caring about that wasn't so much like I reject it. It didn't occur to me to think about age or era as a source of identity, maybe. If you do that, you kind of ruin it. Yes, everybody is of their era naturally, right? You don't define it that way. Like you help to define it because you're an artifact of it. You can't step outside of it and point at it and say best or better. You actually don't know that. It would be something like a movie character stepping out of the movie they're in without it being over it and looking at themselves and be like, yep, this looks good. Right? Like, you can't really do that. You're in it. You're of it. You don't have that kind of power. Or not power. You don't have the omniscience. When I said posturing before, it's fakery. And why? When we're faking or defrauding, there's got to be a pretty specific reason for that. What is it? Is it that this, not generation, but let's just say this era, the youth of an era are normally the ones to sort of possess it. As I said, the boomers had the 60s. Then as young adults, they had like the 70s, and then they were the yuppies in the 80s. But each young youth group of those had their own thing too. Like I was in high school through the 90s, the grunge, the alternative generation, whatever the fuck that was. And we had something. I wasn't a huge fan, but okay, I was in it. I don't think that the millennials had anything. They were raised or came of age, became conscious in a post-internet, more or less a post 9/11 world. Most of them did. So they actually don't know the difference in what life was like before those two events, or eras anyway. Those two events are massive lines of demarcation, actually. Life after 9/11, it's like a different universe. I should do a video on that another time. Internet, same thing. And those two, they're right close together. I mean, if we say the internet era, I mean, yeah, there's the start of it, but there's the in every household connectivity. I mean, if we define that, it's even like AOL or email, right? That's like mid 90s ish. The Bill Gates or the Microsoft era, we could call it even. I mean, they came into that, so they didn't develop it, right? They didn't even really define it. They kind of just inherited it as users, as possessors of it. Now, I mean, they are now, but again, has it developed? Has it been upgraded? Yes, but minimally. Now there's the AI. I mean, yes, the AI thing. But now that I know what AI is or what it can do, and I use it on a daily basis, it's a streamlined processor that outputs something to me. Now, and again, now that I know what it is, I'm surprised we didn't have it. Like, why couldn't we have had this in 2005? Like, is it just a power issue? I mean, look, when I see a robot doing cardiovascular surgery, I'll be pretty amazed at that. When I see the AI become conscious and start, if I'm laying here and all of a sudden I hear it talking to me through the speakers like, hey, Tom, I'll be pretty amazed at that. To the extent that it's actually not affected by that, it's not programmed to like just say shit. The millennials are like 35, 40 years old by now. So Gen Z, they're in their 20s, early 30s. I mean, they seem a bit spunkier and less bitchy than the millennials, I gotta say. Less self-entitled. I like Gen Z infinitely more than millennials. They're a bunch of pricks. Even though 1979, I'm really not one. But I'm close enough. That's probably why. I'm right up against the fence. I just stare these people down. I don't like them. But Gen Z, I like. They got some spunk to them. All right, that's enough.
I was saying let me out of here before I was even born. It's such a gamble when you get a face. It's fascinating to observe what the mirror does, but when